I want to know why so much. I always want to know why. Um, I I diagnosed myself as being an overanalyzer. Um, I don't know why that makes me think of like there's so many times that I have even recently when I was talking about the cannabis stuff. There's so many times that like days and days go by, and I'm so hard on myself that I'm like I really didn't do anything. Um, I don't know about you, but I'm like real extreme. I guess in my opinion, in my life experience, um, just just calibrating it that way. Um, to where sometimes I feel like I'm such a lazy piece of crap, and then sometimes like I'm borderline. Me and Tiff call it like my manic stage, where like where I'm like overproductive, where it's almost like um, I have to pay a price for that too. So like I'll just do everything at one time and I won't sleep a lot. Um, which that makes me think if I'm resemblant of that at all right now because it's 3:45 in the morning. Although I did fall asleep at like 10, so I got some good sleep. Plus I haven't been feeling good. But anyways, this is connected to overanalyzing because I just want to say like I don't know if anybody ever experiences that like physically they're not being productive and or seemingly not productive, but inside the brain it's just going like 110, and there's thoughts and there's judgments and there's all these um, voices uh, tearing you down or whatever. I mean that's what it's like for me. So I guess I'm just saying, like sometimes when I'm so down, it's like I feel I feel exhausted almost, and it could be connected to that constant like wheel of going, and I don't even notice it a lot of the time. Um, so yeah, I it's a I guess it's a painful place to be, um, and that brings me back to the why of like why am I addicted to stuff? Um, uh, why do I latch on to things that make me feel different? Um, and I think that's part of it right there. What I just said, honestly, is that it makes me feel different. Um, and somehow just being me or just being myself, I interpret that as hard a lot of the time. And I know so many times I've used drugs or alcohol, and I don't mean like social. Like it always starts like where it's fine and it's fun and you have a good time, and it's innocent and stuff like that. Um, but it's when I just start liking something different, even if it's worse. I mean, there was just so many times where, I mean, you hear the same old story like, oh, it doesn't get you as high like that first time or whatever, and for me that is somewhat true for me that you chase this one time that it made you feel better, that one time that it felt like a solution. And I've said this before that like it is a solution. It is what's the, it is a tool. There's a better way to say it, but um, yeah, it is something that does help with the emotions at first. And I'm beginning to think that, everything has like a pros and cons type of thing to it. Um, Back to the kind of conversation that I've kind of learned from my mom of like when I can't change something, just having that conversation about like, okay, what do I get out of this? And and I guess you gotta be willing to try to be as honest as you can with yourself, and that it's okay that there are positives there. Oh, I am using this thing, like that's why it's called using. Like, I'm using this whatever it is to get a certain result, and when it does get that result, my brain remembers that, and then I might do that same thing over and over and over, hoping that I get that result again. And it's not like it just, it's like, oh, you use something, or you notice that, like, oh, I felt really good when I did this one thing, and then the next time it's just like, oh, it doesn't work anymore. Like, no, it's as far as like addiction goes, in my experience. And please let me know if you see it differently, because of course we all have different experiences and interpretations. Um, but for me, it more would be like, yeah, I think this works, and then my brain just goes, when you do that one thing, it gets you this one result, and we can convince ourselves of that, because it actually does work, and it works for a while, and then it just seems to, like, it builds up after a while before you ever notice, oh, there's these other set of consequences, and then it's just a long time that I keep myself from myself, or from the truth. Like, yeah, is what it is. I feel like a little scattered brain for some reason. I'm like, oh, I should have thought about this before turning on the video, and I want to try to let that go a little bit, because that's not the point. The point is not to, like, make sense. And honestly, that makes me think, I did a couple videos before this, just kind of just kind of riffing, speaking whatever's on my mind, and just be like, I'll just admit, just because I got some comments, some people saying like, hey, this really meant a lot to me that you're willing to share yourself like that. That right there, like, I have to recognize that as one of those things of like, oh, my brain's like, that's a good experience. I am useful. Maybe I finally found my calling. Maybe this is what I got to do for the rest of my life. I need to make a video every single day. I'm going to help so many people. I'm so important. I'm going to get high off this. And then my brain goes, oh, but what if I can't do it already? Oh, I already don't have my thoughts together in this video. So I'll never be able to do this. And it's just another thing I said I was going to do, even though I didn't. And I didn't follow it through. And, like, that right there is a pure example of how my brain can do that over anything. And I know other people go through this. And I don't have a solution. I'm a firm believer in just being like, if you don't know, you don't know. I've worked for myself for a long time, like in the family aquarium business. A lot of people know that, cleaning fish tanks, gigging, playing music. Just I've always been like a little gig worker, like never one thing. And this connects to just admitting that I don't know, just mainly because with the like aquarium service, for example, every fish tank is different, every client is different. They want different things, like different things bug them. It's just so it kind of keeps me on my toes, because you just never know how certain people interpret certain things. Like there's always I guess that's where some of the communication experience with my mom, again, another shout out to my mom, has became so important for me. I'm getting to a point here, and it's the basically just admitting when I don't know something. It really gets under my skin when people claim they know. It gets on my skin when somebody knows they really don't know what they're talking about, or they don't have an answer, but they give some like bullshit answer, like some solution. So I've learned that with the fish tanks, like I'm just not willing to act like I know something that I don't. I'll just say I'm not sure about that. Let me do some research and get back to you. And I want to circle back on that like, it's not that like, oh, I just hate people that talk about stuff they don't know about, and I'm like the judge to figure that out. It's not that. It's that it's it made me think of myself, honestly, but it's fine, like that's being human, like, or I don't even know if I consider that being human. I more see that as like a societal thing. Like we've been brought up to figure out solution. We want to know solution. Solution is kind of like what I'm talking about with addiction, is that it gives you a result. It gives you like a settled feeling when you figure out a solution, and you're like, oh, it kind of all wraps it back around to like why. I think I'm gonna name this video like why I have addictions. Is it it gives an answer to like why this problem is happening. Oh, here's a solution. Like that's so natural for us to cling to that. It's fine. So I guess to call myself out, to be like, oh, I hate when people give BS solutions or whatever it is. It's more like I hate that in myself. And that's like a concept I've really been thinking about, is people that, or things that irritate me about people, certain people, and really gets under my skin. I sometimes can track like why is that so irritating? And sometimes I think like I do come to this type of solution, is that I get really bothered. Like usually something that bothers me in somebody else is, I could maybe, if I'm really honest with myself, track it to it's a quality within me that I don't like. It all boils back down to not liking something about me. I could get addicted to that concept alone. Like, oh, I don't like this about me, and I don't like that, and I don't like, I never do what I say I'm gonna do. There's so many blah 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 blah. Um, and that, just me saying that kind of reflection on, and never do what I say I'm gonna do. That's another hard thing that really gets me, is kind of how I was like saying like, oh, I could get attention from one of these videos. I'm helping people. I have so much purpose, like this. Now I finally found my thing. Like I'm not gonna suffer anymore. I'm not gonna have the artistic suffers. That's a weird way to put it. I've never said that before, but oh, I lost it. You know what I'm saying? Let me check my journal here. I'm just getting so like tangled up in my own mind here. Oh, just back to that sense of like why. Um, I want to know why all the time. I want to know why I'm addicted to things, and and I want to know what I can do about it. I want to know the solution. And from my experience, oh, that's just not how it works. It just doesn't seem to be how it works. Um, the solution is not sexy. It is boring. It's typical, one day at a time. It's one step at a time. Um, and I know that. I know that down deep in my core. But I want to skip all that. I don't want to spend the time on it. I don't want to put the deposits into myself, or yeah, like the deposits into that. I just keep thinking of like a bank account. Like I don't want to save. I don't want to save the money. I don't want to take the time. Um, but when I do, and when I find help, when I say it out, when I stop letting it over analyze just in my mind, and I feel more wholesome. I feel more balanced, and I really think that seems to be usually what I'm actually after, is contentment, balance, and purpose. Like I think it all revolves around us feeling like not to be cliche, but that we matter. We matter to someone and something, and we're here for a reason, and we got something to do that's just for us, uniquely for us, and we're doing it. And I think that's for me. I'm just speaking for me. I'm never never trying to say what it's like for you, because it's already too complex for me. um, but it's just that's been the hardest things for me with music and family and my job and my worth and all that. It just comes down to like ever since I was a kid, like I know I have felt this dream like um purpose, like, oh, there is something for me to do. I'm gonna do something. But being 35 and being like, yeah, but I haven't really found it yet. And that may be true or maybe not, like so many times we look back and just go, oh, it makes sense now. Or like that saying, like, or that country song, my mom always brings this up. Some of God's greatest gifts is unanswered prayers. And that can be so true, like we really don't know what's good for us. We don't know what gives us the solution, at least not yet. But like I said, when I do the little deposits at a time, which is so hard, like I go in waves of it, where I'm really like I'm doing the things that promote a good well-being for myself. It feels good. I have those times where it's like I feel balanced, like okay, this is it. I'm content. If I could live in this purpose, this fulfillment, I'd be fine for the rest of my life. But like, would I? Would I? And I wouldn't, because I would sabotage myself, because I am addicted to the tension, not attention. Maybe addicted to that too, for sure. But the tension inside my body, I have to look at that and be like, am I just addicted to the negative? Like if things are going too well, do I actually still feel like I'm not worth it? And like that's my Achilles heel, actually, when I say that out loud. It's just yeah, I just got to take a minute and take that in, actually, that even that a lot of times when I've stumbled upon contentment and purpose, I am so used to things not working out, or I'm so used to not doing what I say I'm going to do, that I will like make it that even if it isn't, you know. And I don't have a solution for that. Like I said at the beginning, like I don't know. I don't know what to do. It seems like the first step to any type of change is awareness. So just being like, I'm making some connections here. I'm calling myself out. If I can ever get to a place where I ask for help, I don't know about you, but I don't like doing that, because I almost 100% believe that somebody else can't help me when I'm at my worst, and I don't want to burden them with that. And there's like an ego thing too. Like they're not going to be able to help me. Like they probably got their own stuff. Like I'm not going to waste the time, and I don't want to hear a response that's like, oh, you should just do this, like all this advice. Like I don't want to hear that, So anyways, I think that's enough for today. I got some other things that I could talk about. I'm a little insecure, feeling like I didn't have like a flow, but that probably doesn't matter. Yeah. See you next time.